Hello. For the past little wee while, I've been making a list. Making a list for what games are best suited for LAN parties, and they've been ranked according to their setup, gameplay and extra features, and there are some clear winners in the sense that if you have a whole bunch of people, different types of computers, there are some games which you can get going and start having quite a bit of fun quite quickly, so such as Counter-Strike, Alien Swarm, Rocket League, Chicken Hawk, great games to get the crowd going. Now I've noticed some games at the bottom of the list, and I've noticed a slight different trend. These offer a very solid cooperative experience, sometimes a cinematic experience as well. And in this video I'd like to talk about some of them because they've really impressed me. Dead Space 3. In truth, it's not really a Dead Space game, more of a action puzzle shooter in the Dead Space universe, which takes some time to be adjusted to, but it actually works really well for a co-op experience. At first I was skeptical about the side missions and the weapon crafting, but I actually grew to like it, to have extra content if you wanted it, and after a while it actually did get a bit fun to customize a weapon and see what effects you'll be getting. And really it's just the stock standard Dead Space weapons, but you have to work out how to craft. So is the game scary? Well, not as much as the first two, and I think it is maybe the challenge which they faced is how can you make it that same isolating, lonely experience that was the first few games with a co-op partner. There is some jump scares and some interesting differences if you play Isaac or if you play Carver, which is hard to describe without spoiling, but certainly it delivers some jump scares and creepiness to the game. Now, all in all, Dead Space 3 is cool. It offers quite a bit, a host of different environments, some freedom to fly around in space in zero gravity. It's cool. I recommend to try it out. And do you have to play the first two? Well, for some extra lore and backstory, but you can probably start playing number 3 if you wanted to go straight into some co-op action. Lara Croft and Guardian of Light. This game is a little gem. It's really fun, actually in some ways. Really surprising how fun it is. Oh boy, get a controller for this one. And the neat thing is, especially with Steam Remote Play Together, only one person needs a copy. I played this over the internet and it was pretty lag free from my side, definitely as the host, but my friends certainly seemed to be able to keep up with all the different puzzles and platforming that had to be done through the streaming of Remote Play Together. There's a really good mix of the combat where you have just a little bit more control with the left stick being your movement, the right stick aiming and a trigger button. You also get the use of bombs and dodging with jumps and dives. And in co-op mode, you get the option of playing Lara Croft and this other character called Totek, where Lara gets use of grappling hooks and Totek has the spear which gets thrown into walls which Lara can jump on. It can actually get quite frantic, some of the puzzles and combat put together, and it feels really rewarding when you have the skills of being able to dodge everything and do everything that's required. Again, even though it has Lara Croft in it, it's not a Tomb Raider game at all in any sense. It just uses Lara and the setting, which is a really cool setting. But yes, the story is, it's described as mere fluff and an excuse to get the game rolling. There's quite a bit you get to customize with different weapons, different artifacts. I mean, I don't know how crucial they are, but it's another thing which is just fun to discover. Yeah, a good solid experience. I like this one. We Were Here. Yeah, I've only played a couple hours of it, but it's such a novel concept that I had not experienced before, and definitely a good one to try out with the non-gamers out there. Always the challenge with my wife. So what it is, it's like an escape room, which there's numerous of them all over the world. One person plays as an explorer and the other person plays as like a librarian, and how it works is one person has clues which the other person has puzzles to solve, and you get access to this little radio to be able to communicate to each other. And well, I mean, that's optional because in my case I was playing it in the same room as my wife, and it's a matter of trying to talk about what's on your screen. And you know, there's a stone surrounding wall around, there's words on the wall, and you know, there's symbols, there's eyes, there's a door with a barrier in front of it, and it's all about trying to communicate and try to work out between the two of how to get through the puzzles. And it's such a interesting concept of exploring and satisfying when things click and you work it out. So this one here, We Were Here, is the first episode is free on Steam, which makes it even better, so you can go ahead and try it out, and there's further episodes to play. I can say I'd be really down with this sort of type of game, and I think on the developer's side of things there's endless amounts that they could make. There also does seem to be a bit of random generation. Now, probably the one thing with this game is the replayability is, well, you know the puzzles. Once you know the puzzles, you know them, so you know how to get through. So the replayability is very small, other than possibly switching roles from one to another. And the puzzles themselves, I think there's like slightly different symbols. So there is some random generation. It could be a game, if you played it once, many years later, you could potentially play it again if you've forgotten what to do. Cool concept, really cool concept. I've already spoken about Aragami in a previous video. It is a really neat, stealthy ninja-like game. And I really don't know why more games just don't do co-op like this. It's a single player game, and second person can just jump in and play as a second clone of the initial character. It doesn't make sense to the story, doesn't make sense one lick whatsoever, but a second player can just play, and it's a whole bunch of fun. And further, what makes this particular title quite neat is it allows crossplay between, almost 6 platforms: Windows, PC, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo Switch, Linux, Mac. Again, another thing that we wish so many games would have. So this, you play as Aragami, a spirit which has supernatural powers of shadow, using his shadows to either throw his darts, to teleport within, and to go sneak about and infiltrate and use a sword for stealthy kills. But be wary, one hit, generally you die. So it's mainly in this game trying to either act and go through the game either undetected, or do in a way that you can clear out everybody one by one to pass the level. There is some RPG elements in it where you do have skills which you get level up, and there is nice progression of being able to use new skills such as invisibility and going up against more and more difficult, actually not difficult, just different challenges and certain types of enemies that you have to face, such as the stock standard swordsmen and archers. A Way Out, another game which I've already raved about as a cinematic 2-player experience. I mean, when I first saw it, I thought, what an audacity is it that a developer would make a game that you could only play with 2 people, and then I actually played it and I was amazed. This game is fantastic. It's played as a third-person action game, but the action is not typical of these third-person, I suppose in some ways you could say shooters, because there's actually very little gunplay in this. The action instead comes from the sequences, which you have to figure out what to do, and in some cases you have to figure out what to do quite timely, urgently. Some others you don't have to, but certainly when you're running around and having to work things out on the fly, it's all very quite exciting. And it's a game I'd love to speak more about it, but at the same time, I really would want everybody to experience the game at the first time round. I've played it in a few situations, and even played it in almost a crowd situation where other members just sat as an audience and just watched as how interesting it was to not only just play and see how the story develops, but also even just watching what events unfold for Vincent and Leo, the main characters of this game, who initially meet in prison under different circumstances and make their way out solving a criminal situation which ends up tying both of them together. It has a really interesting mechanic of its split screen when you play this game as a local co-op, but even when you play it online on different computers, you still play it as split screen. And then in that way, nobody misses out on the action and events. Cool game. This game, along with Aragami, along with Dead Space, all currently still on Origin Basic Access. Now I say currently because I have noticed that there have been quite a few games which have dropped off the Basic Access, so I must admit don't like it. And it would seem that Origin Basic Access is no longer an evolving game library, instead it's a revolving game. However, quite a few of these two-player co-op games are still available on there to play at this current time. So this is the list I've got so far, and the games I've been speaking of are around down here. So games which maybe not suitable for LAN parties, but certainly two-player or tight experiences. It's a lot of fun. In the middle, I classify these as games sort of for more larger members, but maybe around about say 4 to 6, where everybody needs to be very similar skill level to have a lot of fun. And then at the top, these are the games where you can shout them out to no matter how many amount of people you've got, and you'll have a good time. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed these games, and there's so many more games that I could really actually speak about. But in any case, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again.